Holy moly. Oh my goodness. Thank y'all for your patience if you're still hanging around with us. It was completely my fault, as always. Uh, uh, I can only imagine the amount of stress that I was putting Marianne through. So anyway, my apologies. Hey everybody, I'm Tanner Gers, Managing Director and Accessibility Officer. And this is the Getting Hired Playbook webinar. All right. And if we're going to be doing a LinkedIn profile assessment later on in the presentation. So if you want to get to volunteer yourself, if you want to be put up on the chopping block, if you are ready for scrutiny and utter punishment, go ahead and drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat or in the Q&A. Or Janie, is that where are they supposed to drop that at?
You can drop that right into the chat, or you could drop that into the Q&A.
The chat, that's what they call it. Okay, I've done this before. We're going to be sharing the recording of this webinar for everybody. And I think because we're so late, why don't we go ahead and get right in. Marianne, what are
Yeah. Well, I love the way
challenges?
you're selling people trying to share their LinkedIn profile with us. I'm Marianne Haegeli. Great to be with all of you. And thank you, Tanner, for taking all the blame. That's not appropriate, but I love it. Well, the reason why we're here today is to discuss the best ways to leverage LinkedIn to find a job. And we all know looking for a job is not for the faint of heart. And there are additional challenges for those job seekers who have disabilities, right? So Tanner, in your experience, what do those include?
I mean, there's a ton of problems that people run into, right? Consistent low or no interviews, no feedback on why or what's wrong. And really it's just leaving candidates with disabilities like in the dark. And I remember one time submitting an application a long time ago, and I immediately go to my inbox and I've already got the rejection letter. But it was like pretty humiliating. It was like, wow, I did automatically, I'm disqualified. But Marianne, that doesn't even come as close to the one bad experience that you had one of your clients share.
Yeah, one of our participants in one of our programs shared this with me. She said, the letter or phone call I absolutely can do without is the one which says, unfortunately, we are unable to offer you this job opportunity at this time. However, you are our second best applicant. Thanks a lot. Really?
I mean, silver medal, right? No one knows who won the silver medal. And that's so sad, right? But if this sounds familiar to any of you, like constant rejection letters, no real feedback on what's going on, no idea with really how to break through and convinced that you're permanently going to be the second best candidate, then you're in the right spot. This is the Getting Hired Playbook informational webinar. And what is in it for you today? The Getting Hired Playbook webinar, what we're going to talk about is going to help you stand out from the crowd, get recruiters and hiring managers' attention, build your network and a strategic network at that, and get more and more interviews so that you can ultimately get hired at a company that you actually want to work for. But who are we and what is the craziness that we're spewing? Why should
give me a second,
listen?
Tanner, here. I think I want to interject that, yes, this is the Getting Hired Playbook informational webinar. What we're sharing a lot of very valuable information with you, and Tanner's going to share some amazing hacks that will help you today. But really what we're trying to set you up for is the full-length Getting Hired Playbook program that will go into great depth of how best to leverage LinkedIn and your personal brand that you should develop to find, the next job and hopefully an amazing employment opportunity. And I think, Tanner, you had a success story from a graduate from the full program.
Yeah, thanks for slowing me down. I mean, we've got a cohort right now, a training class going right now with the Getting Hired Playbook. One client is in talks of getting a job right now, which is awesome before the program's even over. We've got standouts like Justin Hurd, who are doing tremendous things, and Jeff Humphrey in human resources and others. So, yeah, but when in 2023, I think what's really powerful for for the Getting Hired Playbook and really leveraging LinkedIn is, you can do things so fast. And in one of our first classes, early 2023, this is January, we had a young man fresh out of college, just got his certification. He's ready for the workforce. He launches his LinkedIn profile for the first time, never been on it before. He customizes his profile according to the how he said, and he actually took serious action on the tactics that we discuss here and what we're going to be sharing with you today. And in 2 weeks, he had a recruiter reach out to him, set him up for an interview, and he was in the hiring process for a job making 6 figures a year.
Nice.
That is powerful. Now, not everybody's going to experience things like that, right? He's in a specific role in a specific industry that happens to pay well, right? But that's what's possible with these tactic strategies in the Getting Hired Playbook.
But back to where you were going to go. Why in the world would you listen to us two? So, Tanner, why don't you introduce yourself in a little more detail?
Yeah, thanks. I'm managing director at Accessibility Officer. My name's Tanner Gers. And when I was a young adult, I was in a really bad auto accident. I woke up in the hospital totally blind. So I had been in college, I had been in the workplace, I had led a team. I knew how the world works. And when I figured out that for people with disabilities, the world worked differently, especially in the corporate world. I couldn't get a job to save my life. I had to do something different. So I found myself in the digital accessibility world, built up a couple of agencies, started my own business a couple of years ago. And now I'm really just focused on ensuring that people with disabilities can get hired. I mean, that's why our vision at Accessibility Officer is that the US disabled unemployment rate is the same as the US unemployment rate. And we do things like this to make that happen.
And Tanner was kind enough to partner with NSITE, NSITE. That is the organization I work for. I'm the director for learning and leadership. And NSITE is an organization that came out of the National Industries for the Blind. We are now our own independent nonprofit. And just like Tanner's organization's goals, ours is also to get blind and visually impaired people gainfully employed. And the way we go about it is we have a whole portfolio of career skills trainings for different career tracks. And then we also help our graduates hopefully find a job down the road. So our mission and vision aligns beautifully, and this is why we're here today. I know we have a couple of polls, but for some reason, Tanner, I can't access those.
That's okay. It's probably my fault again. I take responsibility. But I'm going to tell you what, if you're a vocational rehabilitation counselor or you have an open case with VR, Marianne Haegeli is somebody that you want to know. Please get in contact with her and follow her, please. But let's get into why you may want to leverage LinkedIn to get hired. It's just some of the reasons why you should have been on LinkedIn yesterday if you're not already. Maybe you are. Maybe you're streaming this live right now on LinkedIn, but more than 90% of active recruiters are searching for candidates right now today on LinkedIn. Over 60% of job opportunities are found through your first degree connections. I'm right now looking for a salesperson, and guess who I'm tapping? All of my first degree connections. I'm saying, hey, who do you know? Like over 70% of employers use social media to screen applicants. They are wanting to see what you're doing, what you're creating, who you are. 1 in 4 employers will not consider candidates without a social media presence, right? Are you a human being? I don't know. If it's not on LinkedIn, it didn't happen. And recruiters take 7.4 seconds to initially evaluate a candidate for their resume and their profile. That is quick, and I'm going to do it later for you today. So drop your LinkedIn profile in the comments. 46% of employers think that resume gaps are acceptable, which is great for if you're a person with a disability, because retaining employment is hard, and even just securing it. So, and your college degree is the 8th thing in order in terms of priority and what they're looking at, right? So, I mean, even looked at LinkedIn, how it prioritizes education, it's way down there. They want to know who you are, what's your headline, what's your experience, what's your activity before you even get to your job experience, right? And below that is that education. So what are we going to be talking about today on the agenda? What are our objectives today, Marianne?
Well, here's what you're going to learn during this brief session to get you a flavor of what's yet to come, right? Tanner will walk us through why getting hired requires both hard and smart work. And you already heard why you should leverage LinkedIn. I mean, some of these statistics are truly scary. Somebody deciding in 7 seconds whether you're worthy a second look or not should tell you how powerful your profile has to be to make sure you get to that next step. We will talk about why it's all about who you know. Tanner will get into your brand and digital business card and why it's important to actually figure out what your brand really is. And then we'll look at strategies and tactics on how to succeed. You cannot make this a willy-nilly approach. You have to think about LinkedIn, go about it strategically, and employ some of the key tactics that Tanner's going to share. Among them is going to be his #1 Getting Hired Playbook Pro tactic that you can implement the second you get off this call and see where it will take you. It's going to be amazing. And then, of course, we'll have a Q&A, right?
Of course, Q&A. And for those that don't know, willy-nilly, that's a technical term specific to vocational rehabilitation, okay? But you know, like what we're saying, this is the Getting Hired. I'm going to give you everything, as much as I can, the best that I can for free today, right now. Okay. I'm going to give it all to you. I want people to get jobs, but what is really required here is the full comprehensive program. I can't tell you how critical this is in order to help your clients successfully transition. If they're employment ready, this is going to help them understand how to develop strategy, how to develop tactics, how to do strategic analysis and assess themselves, how to do a personal assessment, how to develop their, it's like all of these things. I'm going to tell you everything today, but I can only tell you so much. And it's really the devil's in the details. And so that's why it's a 12-week instructor-led hands-on program. It's pretty intense, but it is what what happens is what it's called, the Getting Hired Playbook. Okay. So like Marianne was saying, hard work works, right? But smart hard work wins. Smart hard work, right? We've got to step up as people with disabilities. We got to step up and do extra, right? We know that there's extra demands, there's extra requirements. They don't understand, right? People that haven't walked in these shoes, the type of bandwidth demands, assistive technology concerns, right? Accessibility, blah, 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 right? So we've got to not only just work hard, but we've got to work smart. And part of that is leveraging our tools to save time, energy, and mental bandwidth to do that higher level thinking, right? To solve problems so we can stay competitive, right? In competitive integrated employment and win, right? So we have a personal professional assessment, right? We want to be smart with actually the job opportunities we're going for, right? Map your value to the open available job opportunities. Not going after something that you're not qualified for is not intelligent. That's just a waste of your time, right? Are you qualified for the jobs that you want? And if you have a gap, what is the gap? How do we bridge that? We will help you with this in the Getting Hired Playbook. Instead of looking for jobs, why not this? Why not set alerts for the jobs? Like a lot of the content that I'm creating, right? Google's bringing to me automatically. You should be doing the same thing for jobs. And you should be signing up for newsletters that curate the jobs for you. Indeed sends me alerts all the time for open job positions, new ones, right? I want to keep my finger on the pulse of the marketplace. So I've got alerts coming to me, right?
Yeah. I think this is usually the place where I say, when we say smart hard work wins, you got to really be realistic and self-critical in your personal and professional assessment. That's really important. And the hot tip that I have for you is keep in mind constantly that as you're applying for jobs or looking for jobs, please remember that when you submit an application, it is not about you. It's about the potential employer who needs a problem solved, which is why they have an open position advertised, right? So like Tanner said, don't just apply to anything under the sun that you may or may not be qualified for. Take that time that's required to do that analysis and match it to your skills and experience and background before you send an application. And then think about, why are they advertising for this position? What do they need? What problem do they need solved? And what are my skills? How can I credibly present to them that I can solve that problem for them? This is going to make a huge difference in your job search overall. But maybe, Tanner, we should take a look at how one builds one's personal brand. This sounds like shameless promotion. I don't know. I'm maybe a little uncomfortable with that. What do
It's
we need? What's my
totally,
digital business card?
it's totally shameless. And I mean, you know, for people that aren't interested in flashy, you know, all this other stuff, I'm not into that either, right? Like when I did my introduction, I got as quickly through that as possible. I'm not interested in sharing all of my background, this, that, and the other thing, my accolades, my achievements. And I'm very proud of what I've done across my life, but that doesn't matter. Right? That doesn't matter to a business. That doesn't matter to you. What matters is what can you do? All right. And so when you're talking about this, we're talking about your digital brand and your business card. You only get a couple seconds to make that great impression. So you've got to do that. And then once you do, once you've earned that attention, you've got to keep earning it. Right. So let's cover the ways that you're going to do that. Marianne, and Janie, did we get anybody's profile in the chat?
Oh, we just got one now. Thank you, Robert
Oh, great.
Insco.
Can I stop sharing and can you link to that?
Oh shoot, yeah.
Or should
Let's
I try
see.
that?
Yeah, Janie, can you send that to me via email, please?
Wait, maybe I can see it from here.
You got it.
Thank you. One moment, please. This is the high-tech quality stuff that you can expect, right? So the reason why I need the actual link instead of Marianne pulling it up is because I'm, you know, like I said, I'm totally blind. So I can't actually see that. I can't see it when it's presented on the screen. My screen reader doesn't read it. And I'm not, did you send it on WhatsApp or is it email? That's, there we
I had
go.
sent it
Got it.
using our Outlook.
I got it. High-tech quality stuff. All right, here we go.
WhatsApp actually is not accessible with links, sadly. But hopefully they will take that feedback from us.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. All right, Robert, let's get over to your profile. All right, so I just pulled this up. I switched over with my screen reader. I'm gonna skip to the main content here. All right, you got your verifications, great. Cisco Networking Academy, awesome. You're in Michigan. 4 connections. Oh no, 4 connections. To me, immediately, like I know that you're a real person, right? You're interacting with me on this webinar. Immediately, I'm like, is this a real person? 4 connections. And let's go down to the active. So no about section, which is fine. Sometimes it's right to not have an about section, especially if what you're doing, your activity, your featured section, which would be right here, is more important, right? Like who you are. So 5 followers, you got to follow. All right. All right. So there you go. You're sharing stuff. That's good that you got activity. No experience listed. And no skills listed either. So Robert, we've got significant opportunities here for your profile. The way that recruiters, right, are using LinkedIn to search for people is that they're not like, you know, they're not like using the search like you or I would, right? And they're not even using advanced filters, which is how I would search, right? They're using specific tools built for recruiters on the LinkedIn platform that allows them to look for people with specific experience, keywords in their headline, education experience, skills in their listed in their profile, all these kinds of things. And we've got significant gaps here. Not only that, when I come to your profile, it's so bare and minimum that I'm even concerned, like, is this a real person, right? I do see that you've shared some activity, so that's given me a little bit, but I'm not sure I'm even going to get that far, because as soon as I see that there's not really much going on here, especially with the experience, I'm going to be moving on. Thank you, Robert, so much for allowing me to do that. I hope that wasn't too painful. So I'm going to stop my screen share.
Well, I'll have you know that Robert is a known entity to me, and he is brand new to LinkedIn. So this is like the effort of a first week, which is brilliant in my opinion, right? You got to start somewhere, and now he's putting himself out there for feedback, and we're gonna get him exactly where he needs to be, because with his talents, he deserves to find his dream job.
Dude,
All
Robert,
right.
it is so exciting. I just want to call back, right? Like, one of our first students in the Getting Hired Playbook over a year ago, right, in 2 weeks, went from 0 to an interview in 2 weeks, right? So, Robert, kudos to you, man, for putting yourself out there. I actually love you leaning into that. I want to help you out significantly, especially since you know Marianne. I apologize for that, but I'll do my best to like help out the way that I can.
Thank you. No, I love this. I mean, this is a great way to get started. It's a beautiful example, right? Of you got to start somewhere, and then we'll build on this and make it exactly where it needs to be. So Tanner, what would be your 4 preferred strategies for building a powerful network? Since this is exactly what Robert could use right now.
Yeah, I mean, we got to think like over 50% of jobs are filled without ever being posted, right? So, what's the strategy for building a strategic network? You want a strategic network, strategic meaning who's in your network that can help you do the things that you're trying to do right now, right? And then what are the tactics around for how you're going to execute on that? So, here's 4 strategies for building a powerful network, right? So, one is connection requests with industry professionals. This sounds like a no-brainer, but so many people maybe just be accepting or sending connection requests to whoever LinkedIn recommends, right? What about the people that you want to go out and find, right? Meaning, what employers do you want to work for, and who's got jobs at those employers that you maybe want to have? Sending connection requests to those people would be a great opportunity for a strategic network. Engaging with content, right? There's going to be creators, leaders, HR professionals, recruiters who are going to be publishing content, or they're going to be doing something, and you want to be engaging with that. You want to show up in their notifications, liking, commenting, reposting. Thought leadership, right? You should be publishing content because when people come to your profile, they want to see what you're doing, what you're about. What do you know? Like, are you an expert in your craft, or at least does it seem so? Are you worth interviewing? Direct messaging, right? This is one of the hugest ways that you can stand out and really build a strategic network. Show someone you care. Not no one, but very few people, there's a small percentage that will send a direct message. Make it thoughtful, make it count, and you will see a huge advancement in your strategic network development.
Yeah, this is actually a really important point. And we've had participants in previous webinars point that out and say, yeah, it's not a social media platform where you get phished and hacked and all kinds of nasty stuff. And so what Tanner did in his assessment of Robert's profile is exactly what you need to do every time you get a connection request. Take a look and say, is this person actually real? And why would they want to connect with me? So what I do typically is I said, before I accept their invitation, I send them a message and say, hey, interested in finding more about the reasons why you want to connect with me. Any reasons you can give me. And 9 times out of 10, if it's a phishing attempt, I'll get nothing back, right? But this is important, and the direct messaging is incredibly important because it takes it from that impersonal, let me just grow my network, to no, this is actually intentional and strategic.
And I personally use a completely different strategy. And I share why I use that strategy and what I'm trying to learn from it in the Getting Hired Playbook training. And you know what? If I'm getting messages I don't want, I just move them to other. And if you don't know how to do that, you should probably register for the Getting Hired Playbook training.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. Go ahead, Marianne.
Yeah, we were talking about how to execute the tactics and then measure the results. And the title in and of itself tells you what is required for success. And I have a little a side note for you. This is true for no matter what you do. You gotta plan your work and then work the plan, right? Yep. So the first one is you need to dedicate time to the plan. Schedule it. Put it on your calendar. Say every morning from 8 to 10 or whatever works for you, I'm going to spend time working on LinkedIn and doing what I need to do, right? So you need to develop a plan first. That doesn't include just scheduling, but also how do you go, which industries are you interested in? And you prepare for the execution of your tactics by doing some research, gaining industry knowledge, be aware of what's going on, what are the trends that are happening right now, and then also see if you identify skills gaps, what can you do to upskill and maybe obtain certification so that you're ready to compete within that industry. And just as another aside, this is exactly what Robert's doing right now, doing all the right things. And then you move to the tactical execution of the plan, and this is a daily thing. You set a goal. I'm going to send out 15 connection requests today. I'm going to engage with 5 posts today. I'm going to create some content or repost things with my thoughts, showing that I'm actually thinking about things, engaging in thought leadership. And then again, that whole messaging, making sure that your messaging is on point and powerful. That is how you dedicate dedicate time to the plan. And then as you're working against that plan, you got to measure results, right, Tanner?
That's right. That's right. We got to measure results. How many new connections? How many direct messages? How many requests for an interview did you get? How many first interviews did you complete? How well did you move through that process? Meaning, did you get an offer extension? Did you move to the next stage in the interview? Now, this is so critical. I mean, within the CAT model, right? Certify, apprentice, transition. The Getting Hired Playbook represents that transitionary process where we're at a macro level, helping you, like, if a person with a significant disability is certified, right, they've got the hard skills, right, and then they've gotten the soft skills, they understand professionalism, etiquette, everything that they need to do on the soft side of things. They also need to understand their macro place in the industry, how they're going to fit into that, how to solve problems, these very, like, the micro, getting ready for the job, and then the macro, how we're going to fit into the industry, is so critical. And understanding this, from like developing this business acumen, is how we help people with significant disabilities retain competitive integrated employment long term, right? Great that they can get a job. How do they keep it?
Yeah, love that. And I think there's a couple of things you need to still think about. Remember when I said it's not about you? That sounds counterintuitive because you're the one who wants the job, but it really is not about you. So make things really easy as part of the plan, right? Come up with an email address that tells anybody interacting with you who you actually are. If you have a cool little, what do we call it, hot stuff at yahoo.com, that's awesome, but nobody knows that's me, right?
Hey, that's my email. What I told you, you said you wouldn't give that out.
I'm sorry, Tanner. So it's perfectly fine to have a separate email. Create a Gmail account just for job searching or professional interactions. Get one that has your name in it that's recognizable. Do the same when you develop your resume. Name that document with something that makes it clear that it's my resume. M. Haegeli, resume 2024, right? That I can share, and it'll make it easier for the recruiters to place everything together that they need. Same with your LinkedIn profile URL. You can actually change that. The first time you create a URL, LinkedIn will plop several numbers behind your name. Get rid of those. You don't need them, right? Make it so it's clear who you are, and make it easy for everybody who wants to interact with you. And before I get too far afield, I think it's high time, Tanner, for you to share that #1 Getting Hired Playbook Pro tactic.
Well, thank you. I mean, you set me up so well with all these actionable tactics that people should be implementing right away if you haven't already. And if you have questions about the content that we've delivered today, if you have any other thoughts, please drop it in the comments or the Q&A. We're going to move into that right after this. And the absolute #1 tactic to getting a recruiter or hiring manager's attention is the following, right? Visit their profile, send a connection request, and then message them to let them know about you in a very specific way, right? There's different ways to maximize the effectiveness of this outreach, but here's what you want to know and be prepared to make that happen, right? So one is that you got to start intelligent and informed conversations with these people, right? Meaning you have to know about their business and industry, right? You have to know about their company, who works there, and the challenges that they're facing. You have to disrupt their normal patterns and at the same time show why you're valuable. Why are you different? Ask for the interview. Okay. So those are the 5 things, right? Those are table stakes, right? Like, you want to get this interview, like, this is how you do it, right? Example. Hey, name, wanted to reach out and say hi. I have several connections that work for you already, and I'm aware of some of those challenges that you're facing. Would love to schedule time with you and an interview with you, and share with you why I might be probably your best choice for this role. I chopped that up a little bit, but that is the drift. Now, if somebody sent me this right now on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, like I see that you're looking for a sale. I know that you're looking for a salesperson. I already know that you're facing these challenges. Yada yada. You know, I would love to share with you why my sales motion, my go-to-market strategy for you is going to be the right fit." Like, if someone did that to me right now, I probably wouldn't even need the interview. I'd probably just be like, "You're hired," right? Because that's the kind of that's how disruptive this motion, as seemingly simple it is, that's how disruptive this can be.
So think about this also. If I'm looking for somebody and I'm putting out an open position, I'm going to get flooded with applicants. Do you really think I would prefer to weed through 200 applications, 80% of which are not even qualified for the job because they're just applying to everything under the sun, which we just hopefully convincingly told you not to do? Or do you think I would go with a direct message by somebody who in 5 sentences showed me that they have done their research, they already know what I'm looking for and who I am, and just connect with that person and have that first interview with them? I don't think I need to even explain what the answer is to that question, right?
Yeah.
I'll go with the one who's showing the initiative. And in that case, that would be you.
Yeah. And I've got to share this too, because I mean, I was just on a call, I was on a meeting, I was overseeing some stuff yesterday with one of the hires that I made last year, front end engineer, accessibility engineer. His name is Bruce Blazer. He's a stud. He's absolutely a stud. And he did this to me. I had put out a job description. I was applying, or a job solicitation, whatever that's called. And I posted a job, and I had a ridiculous amount of people apply. Most weren't qualified. Bruce was one of like a couple people that reached out to me. We had an interview, we had a long talk. We had multiple long talks, probably like 5 talks altogether, but he was the right fit. I hired him. And yesterday on this call, I was just so proud of him demonstrating the passion, the purpose, and what it means to be an accessibility professional, and really changing the landscape and how a company thinks about accessibility. Bruce Blazer, truly one of the greats, and he was one that implemented this strategy. So thanks, Bruce, for all your partnership and loyalty, my friend. I'm so glad you're on the team.
Yeah, beautiful example. Well, Tanner, we can move to the Q&A, I think.
Yeah.
I know this is an endless weird link here, but I don't know, Janie, if you have the technology to drop the Getting Hired Playbook program registration link into the chat, that would be great. We'll start another cohort hopefully in the near future, so please register now and we can make sure that you get enrolled.
Can you pull up that page, Marianne? Do you have the link readily available?
I do. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can cruise around a bit. Yes, I do. Hang on.
All right. And while Marianne's doing that, I don't know if we had any live questions come in from the audience.
We did have a really super cool comment from Robert Insco. He says, "Thank you," and appreciates the feedback that we had on his LinkedIn page. He is still a very real person.
Awesome. So when you do click on that link, and I'll post it in the chat in just a second, you get to the Getting Hired Playbook enrollment page, and it is really easy stuff. We need your first name, last name, your email, your phone number, your VR counselor name and contact information if you have one, and hopefully your LinkedIn URL link. And then we ask you a couple of technology questions. Do you have a desktop or a laptop? Do you have a Zoom account? That's all we want. It's short and sweet, but it'll help us figure out, you know, how to move on from here. And I'm just going to put that link in the chat in just a second.
Christine asked, what's the success rate for students, placing students who are in the program? Well, right now, we've got in this active cohort that we have right now, we had 5 participants in. The program is still ongoing. We're in week 9, I believe, 9 of 12, or excuse me, week 8 of 12. And we have one student already who is entertaining the interview process and going through that. And we are not yet at the point at which where we're implementing this number one GHP pro tactic. We're still setting up the strategies, the tactics, and the brand and everything else. But in the next 3 weeks, we will begin implementing that, and we'll have some better data on that. So this is the actual this is the first cohort for this year. In the past, when we've ran the Getting Hired Playbook, we've had success vary. I don't know what the numbers are off the top of my head. Some people, as we know in vocational rehabilitation, like some people don't do the work and some people do the work. And we've seen really strong success by the people that do the work. It's pretty phenomenal.
It's amazing. I mean, you should see the change on these, not just the profiles themselves, but then also the activity. It's absolutely amazing. And I would recommend that every single one on this call should connect with me and Tanner at the very least, hopefully Janie as well, and then start looking at the second level connections that you will find, because we have fairly large networks, and see who among those the second connections may actually be worth your outreach with a short message, and see if they can become a first connection.
I would love to demonstrate some of that, pull up Jeff Humphrey's profile or Justin Herr's profile, or Pauline's profile, one of our students in the course, so you can kind of see the transformation that happens. And I think, many people, who come into the program, either, some don't have a LinkedIn profile yet, and others have a profile that's probably more representative or similar to Robert's profile, right? Just getting started, low connections, low everything, and then we can really get started. Do we have a profile up, Marianne? Do we have?
I'm almost a little scared to do that without asking first.
Oh, okay.
We actually do have one from Larry Brecht, actually, in the comments. He did submit a new one, and I had emailed it to you in another thread.
And he actually
so
has it in the chat. Should we try to pull it up?
Sure.
Yes,
yeah, we can definitely pull it up.
I had emailed it to Tanner.
So
Marianne,
right,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and pull it up, Marianne.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, I have it here. Yes, thing of beauty. Hang on one second. Let me share again.
Yeah. Christine will get to
asking,
your question, because it's a very valid and fun question to answer.
Yeah. Christine was asking a question about entry-level pay rates for digital accessibility field.
Daniel, can you confirm that we're on the right page here?
We should be on the right page, yes.
Yeah, you're sharing your
Larry
screen.
Brecht. Yeah.
Awesome. Larry Brecht, visionary professional. I like that already. And his background picture says, "I am for equity because equity starts with everyone."
Oh, love that. That's awesome.
Love that too. Larry is a rock star here. He has a really good about section, I think. He says, astute and exceptionally dedicated professional with over 29 years of experience in business operations, human resources, and people management. And we can probably tighten that up a little more or make it a little more punchy, but it's a really good start.
Yeah. My feedback would be is like, make it less about the resume and make it more about you or the things that you create. Right. So like, because your experience section, that's where we can put in those additional details, that more resume stuff. But sometimes it's not critical to have an about section if there's not that content that really like, remember, we got to re-earn attention, and that about section is going to be the first opportunity to re-earn attention after your headline. So when you've got such a badass background picture and headline, right, and then they come to an about section and it's more resume-ish, they're going to pull back a little bit, right? I might look to a featured section here, showing some of your best like successes or accolades, and then when they come into your activity, that's going to be a much stronger representation of who you are and the value you bring.
Love that. Also, Larry, visionary professional. I love that. But maybe you can make that first tagline, that headline, a little longer with some of the powerful stuff. I think you have some chief innovation officer in your background. maybe you can find something really punchy to even extend that a little bit. Visionary professional is almost like a title, and it's great. And I don't know, Tanner may disagree with me, but maybe there could be a little more there.
No, I agree with you. You know, definitely that headline is that prime real estate, right? Where we're of that 7.4 seconds, we're going to try to use 5, right? Like right there. So yeah, definitely use the character availability. There is something to be said about short and snappy, but I think that you could definitely beef that up a little bit.
Yeah. And then on the contributions, Larry has contributed a piece on you're preparing for a situational interview. How can you show off your creativity? And
so
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, please. He says what else?
He says, begin the interview with your why, meaning how does this opportunity speak to the core of who you are as a person? Be your authentic self and your talent and skills will shine through.
Totally.
It's more about Larry than his about statement. I think your about statement is very generic and it doesn't say a lot about you. Like, I think it's great that you're managing product from the requirement engagements and everything. I'm just like, that's a lot of words to me. It doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't give me your results. It doesn't give me how you contributed to the product. It doesn't give me a lot about you, but your contributions does. And that's something that does impress me, if I may add.
Very cool. Yeah, I think it's just what Tanner said earlier, right? The about should probably go further down into a different section and or at least restructure the about a little so it sounds less like a resume. Very nice though, I think.
We are a couple minutes over time. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Christine, to answer your questions really briefly, about $50,000, $25 an hour, $50,000 for a full-time role for digital accessibility entry-level position. Goes up from there, mid-range, or about 3 years experience, you're looking at 75, 80K plus. And I will follow up with you with regards to some numbers. I really appreciate the support with your leadership and your agency. So thank you guys so much for joining us today on the Getting Hired Playbook. I am Tanner Gers, Captain Mistake, fail forward, show up anyway. Thank you guys for thanks for being patient with me while Marianne and Janie were like, where the heck's Tanner? Why is this not going on? Thank you all so much for everything. Marianne, thank you so much for bringing your awesome insight, wisdom, and expertise. Please, vocational rehabilitation counselors, clients with open VR cases, follow Marianne. She is an advocate you need in your corner. She is an absolute rock star. And Janie Jamel, thank you so much. Janie is a linchpin over here at Accessibility Officer. A lot of stuff would not happen without her. Janie, thank you so much.
Thank you all. We hope to see you again soon.